Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. This episode, we're going to dive into the details that have been released so far for Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. This is something that popped up as like a trademark initially by Gundam or Bandai Filmworks. And we're like assuming, oh, is this going to be a new Gundam anime? What is it based on? Well, we got all the details. But before we get started, if you haven't, please subscribe. If you think this is a cool video, give it a like. Check the links in the description for ways you could support the channel. Let's get started. All right, and so a trailer got released recently, which looks awesome. It's CGI. It looks like One Year War. Just looking at parts of the trailer, we're seeing some cool Zaku stuff going on. Zaku pilot. The CGI looks really cool. Word is it's using Unreal Engine 5. UC0079. So yet again, another One Year War story, but I'm not going to complain. But I mean, just looking at the video they have out there, it actually looks cool. I'm definitely looking forward to something like this. For some background info, so Bandai Namco Filmworks announced the new animation project Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem for Vengeance during its Anime Expo industry panel on Saturday. The staff is producing the animation entirely with Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5 as previewed in a trailer presented at the panel. German artist Erasmus Brosdow, I guess who's made something called Origin Zero, The Lord Inquisitor, Seed of Ambition, is directing the project, and Gavin Hignite, Tekken Bloodline, Transformers, Cyberverse, Star Wars Resistance, is writing. Australian actress Celia Massingham, DC's Legend of Tomorrow, Ladies in Black, voiced the lead character and performed the motion capture for animation. Producer Naohiro Ogata, Mobile Suit Gundam, Witch from Mercury, Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt, is involved in the project. So just from that first paragraph, a lot of interesting things. Names I haven't heard before, and Western names, and properties that aren't that big. So my first thought is, and inherently there's nothing wrong with this, but low budget. This seems like a way for Bandai or Sunrise to produce a more Western-leaning Gundam animation at a lower budget. Maybe this is in anticipation of the live-action movie, or this is a byproduct of the live-action movie, knowing that they're using Unreal Engine 5, and that's actually used across big, major Hollywood motion pictures. I mean, a lot of the stuff like in The Volume from Lucasfilm, where they have, like the backgrounds already rendered and made in Unreal Engine 5 that they can move around in. Also, some of the CGI used in Rogue One was Unreal Engine 5. But, along with this, we are seeing a Japanese person involved in this, a producer, and they say is involved in the project. That's a very kind of broad way to kind of explain what specifically they're going to be doing. But they were involved with Witch from Mercury and Thunderbolt. So it looks like while it is mainly a Western production, it does have some of that Japanese oversight, which is great. When they brought up that Australian actress, I like the idea that there's going to be motion capture done for this. I think that's just going to help in general. Manuel Augusto Dischinger Mora is the main character designer, and Kimitoshi Yamane, Cowboy Bebop, Eskin Flow, multiple Gundam projects, is the mechanical design supervisor. So not necessarily the mechanical designer, but a supervisor, which again is a cool idea. It could be that it's still the Western team is kind of designing the suits while the Japanese supervisor of Sunrise and Bandai are making sure it fits in with the aesthetic they would want during that time period of Gundam. And in fact, we'll look at the suits here in just a second. Wilbur Roget, Mortal Kombat 11, Call of Duty, World War II, Lara Croft, and the Temple of Osiris games is composing the music. And while I was like, well, I can't really say I've heard of that person, and those games are, they're good games. I can't really recall music from them. The little bit of music that's actually in the trailer is pretty good, so that sounds awesome. Hignite confirmed the project's episodes are set in the Universal Century chronology of the first Mobile Suit Gundam story and its sequels. So it's set in the first Mobile Suit Gundam story and its sequels. That's kind of a weird way to word it. I don't know what that means. Why is sequels part of that? And Brosdow added in a video message that the story is told from the Zeon faction's perspective, particularly from the Zaku Mobile Suit's cockpits. So that's very interesting. And, I didn't understand what they meant by that, but now I'm starting to think maybe that it's going to be very action heavy, and a lot of the character dialogue will be done in suit cockpit, like the story, exposition, while there's the battling going on. Being in Unreal Engine 5, it just makes me think back to like Rogue One when the X-Wings would fly in and how they made that look. kind of being able to see that. I mean, the CGI looks excellent already from what we see in the trailer. The trailer said the story is set 11 months after the Revolutionary War. So I don't know if there's a time jump, if they mean 11 months after it started, 11 months after the war ended. I don't know what they mean by that exactly, because it is interesting in a moment when we get to what the suit design looks like. It's just that it does say 0079 in the trailer, but that could just be the fan servicey side of it to let people know, hey, this is going to be close to that era. So Hignite cited Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt and Mobile Suit Gundam the 08MS team as influences on the project. That sounds awesome. Hignite and Massingham personally appeared at the panel to discuss the project, and Rajet 2 also appeared. Ogata I think that's supposed to be the second, right? I don't know. Just these, I already have enough trouble with Gundam names, right? Okay, and here's what Bandai, I guess, posted on their Gundam Twitter to show off, like, I guess the main character we're gonna see, female Xeon pilot. That's awesome. Love the pilot uniform too. That's like, it's like way more than what we'd expect. But I mean, I don't know what the timeline is exactly gonna be. They said 11 months after the war. It also said 0079. It could be that since this is a 6-episode series that there's going to be some time jumps, which could make a lot of sense, especially when we look at the Gundam that will be in this, how it really gives off GPO1 vibes, so Gundam Development Project. This could be where they kind of bridge the precursors of like what went into developing like the Blossom, for instance. That was one of the first from that Gundam Development Project. Okay, zooming in a little more just so we can get a better look at it. I love that it has like that Easy 8 sort of look to it. I'm wondering if, this is some sort of prototype for the GPO series. And so there are some things, slapped together. We get that a lot. Easy 8 from 08MS team, that's how it was built, where they were slapping parts on, even Xeon parts, onto the ground Gundam in order to give it its look. But yeah, like for instance, I see GPO on just from the chest, from the skirts, the way the skirts look are very much in line with that. I'm a huge fan of shoulder guns, and it's got a shoulder Gatling gun. That is the shield. The shield is a pretty interesting look too. Used to attack, to stick into the ground. And it kind of reminds me of what, wasn't it like the Gundam 04 and 05 or something like that, where they kind of had a very visible crest piece. But anyway, what I wanted to get back to is what this potential beam saber thing here is going on. So it looks like it's 3 beam sabers, if that's what it is. And is it where he grabs it and maybe the handle works a little differently and 3 come out? Or is it where it's 3 separate ones, just in case he loses one, he can use another? Are there maybe some sub-arms we're not seeing that are behind that can be used? That will be interesting to get to. I do love the red look, too, on the eyes. That kind of gives it more of that, like, villain look. So I think that's going to help with the idea that this is from a Xeon point of view. I think the closest thing I could compare this to is, like, MS Igloo, only because that is CGI, and from the Xeon point of view, though that was completely Japanese developed. From that, what MS Igloo did a really good job of is showing the point of view of soldiers on the side of the Xeon, seeing what was occurring. And a lot of times they're like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe we're doing this. Like, gas in the colony, sending it down to Earth. There's a lot of potential here to really tell an interesting story, again, from the side of Xeon, and making like the Gundam look like a bad guy. I always think that's really cool to do, because everything is really about perspective. Your beliefs, what you grew up around, that kind of shapes the story that you tell yourself in life. So, it's interesting to think. So it's fully CGI, Unreal Engine 5. To me, that looks great. That sounds great. And I was talking to how like a lot of major Hollywood blockbusters are using Unreal Engine 5 for the CGI. It could be that the new Netflix live action movie, and I hate to say Netflix because then people think Netflix is making it. Again, that's like some misinformation. Netflix is just distributing it. It's Legendary Pictures, who's known for some pretty decent movies with CGI. It could be that they've been testing using the Unreal Engine 5 for CGI for the live action movie, and then they've decided, okay, well, with this kind of concept that they've come up with, maybe we can quickly make a more Western-leaning Gundam series, that can come up to kind of help hype that out. Or it could be the other way around. It could be that they were creating this, and this is helping give the concepts for what they will do for the Gundam live action movie. So anyway, that's about it. I am hyped. I really think if there's anything negative to say about it, it's just because you're having a bad day. I mean, we still have very little info even though we have enough info just to make it exciting. It's fun. It looks great. I'd love to have a kit of these new suits they've shown. Anyway, let me know what you think below. And thanks to all the supporters that have helped out the channel. We'll talk later.